Hey guys, long time no see, Pavise here. Today I'm going to be talking about my personal thoughts on Fire Emblem Three Houses, why I'm excited, why I'm skeptical, you know, just my general thoughts on, the game, how it's looking so far, and just, give you a little peek into how I'm feeling about this game. If you follow my Twitter, at Pavisefi, as you can see in the bottom right there, you'd know I'm definitely on the skeptical side. I'm definitely on the I'm a wait and see side. I'm very skeptical. I'm not sure I'm convinced by what I've seen of the game so far. But I thought, let's talk it out more. I'm going to go through the trailers. I'm going to talk about whatever comes up in the trailers, how I feel about it, how I feel about certain aspects of the game. And maybe, I guess, some people can understand who aren't on the hype train, why some people might not be on the hype train. So, first off, I want to talk about what the trailer started off with. Also, I've got my pen here, so I can draw and have some fun with that. First off, what I want to talk about is, of course, you've got the continent. So much better. Thank God. Thank God. Like, this map already is just miles better than what we had with Fates. It's not even close. Like, this is definitely, it's going back to probably my favorite map style, this is very Tellius-esque in terms of how the map looks. You've got like these little mountain ranges here. You've got like the wave, even though kind of the shapeage of the continent, like, just is very Tellius-esque. I'm not sure, the font's probably much different, but I'm definitely digging it. I'm definitely digging the new map. In terms of a continent, of course, you've got the Adrestian Empire, the Kingdom, and the Alliance. You know what? Basically, they've got three different government styles, like, all beside each other. You know what? I guess kingdoms are kind of boring sometimes, but Fire Emblem usually does this. You've got the kingdom, the empire, and like the mercantile state or the like alliance state. You've always got a mix of all these government styles, which is actually pretty cool, and I kind of dig it. Although the 1, 2, 3 kind of style, I'm not sure. It feels kind of tropey, but that's just me being a little nitpicker. That's not a big deal. And then, of course, you've got the other countries surrounding it, kind of shrouded in mystery that we don't really know about. They're obviously going to come into play. The thing about maps, or about video games, or just anything story-related, there's a reason something's there. So there's a reason this is here, there's a reason this country's 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 here. Like, they're all going to come into play into the plot somehow. And I almost guarantee it will be as a destabilizing factor. Obviously, like, these guys are going to invade from here at some point in the story. These guys are going to invade from here. These guys are going to, I don't know where they're going to invade from, but they might come from across the sea or something. But, like, you can see, like, each country, I guess the Adrestian Empire has, like, 3 on its doorstep, but, Fargus or Fergus. I honestly wish they had localized it as Fergus, but I guess that's kind of boring. But obviously, each country has its own, like, kind of neighbor that's probably going to come into play in the story. So yeah, I'm digging the continent. The continent's not really what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned that maybe the politics on the continent are just going to be boring and by the book. But that happens. That's kind of every Fire Emblem game, though. Like, I hope the world comes into play somehow, or the geography comes into play somehow. Just other than the basic level, like, ooh, this is like, if these are all barbarian countries, that's just gonna be lame. Like, yeah, that's just gonna be lame. Or maybe not. Maybe if they play that off, like, oh, this civilized area is surrounded like barbarians, coming kind of like a Rome angle, because back in the old days, Rome was the only civilized country, and they were surrounded by barbarians, and they would have to deal with constant barbarian invasions. Maybe if they go with that angle, that's cool. But I guess we just don't know enough details about what direction they're going to take it. But like I've been saying, continent looks pretty cool. I'm kind of down with it. I'm done with the continent. Anyways, what's next up in this direct?
The continent of Fodlan,
Oh, I guess...
said to be protected by a revered goddess, has existed since time immemorial. 3 ruling powers now control the land. In the south...
Okay, yeah, this is something I noticed. I do not like this narrator. He sounds so bored. He sounds like a history teacher who just wants to just quit their job. He's like, in the south lies a region held by more than a 1,000-year-old dynasty, the Adressian Empire. It's come on, man. Come on, man. Gotta put a little more oomph into it, unless they wanted to go for the bored existential crisis history teacher kind of voice. But you know what? And that's the trailer. It has nothing to actually do with the game.
Lies a region long held by a more than 1,000-year-old dynasty, the Adressian Empire. Beyond its borders, to the frigid north, is the home of the Holy Kingdom of Pavise, ruled by the royal family and its knights. To the east, a league of nobles that heeds no king nor emperor rules what is called the Leicester Alliance. Once consumed by a tempest of war and turmoil, Fodlan and these 3 mighty powers now exist in relative harmony.
Okay, so that's the initial story setup. That's like the backstory of the country. And oh my god, we got nothing, really. It's like, wow, these 3 countries exist, they were at peace, and now they're gonna go into war. It's like, okay. Like, I don't know. Maybe I've been a picky man. I'm a picky man, and I'm picky with my Fire Emblem. And the backstory is just so boring. It's like, there's a goddess who brought life to the land, and there were 3 countries who exist, and yeah. Like, I don't know. I'm not digging the lore right now. The lore... But again, this is one trailer. You can't judge the whole thing. But the backstory of this country so far, or this exposition, was just... it's just boring. I'm not hooked on this, like... I think the continent's cool, but the story setup of the continent, I'm not convinced. It sounds very boring and very generic. Like, wow, they were once all at war, and now they're at peace. And then, obviously, in the plot, they're going to go back to war. I mean, that's just what's going to happen. They're not going to exist in peace forever. But, of course, how they go to war could be very interesting. That's up to the game. But, I know, let's keep going through.
In relative harmony.
And then select a form. I'm pretty sure this isn't even like this. I barely count this as an avatar, to be honest. They say your a lot, like select a form or select like later in the trailer. This is like, this is your story, your journey as the player. But obviously, it doesn't seem like it. I think you just get 2 stock options. You either get male or female, because in the cutscenes, like we've been seeing, you see this character all the time. I'm not sure how many pre-rendered cutscenes there are. It seems like there's a decent amount, because you see this guy like in pre-rendered cutscenes, so you're probably just getting a choice between a male-female form.
In the Fire Emblem 3 Houses game.
That always cracks me up. I'm sorry, I've watched this trailer a few times now.
In the Fire Emblem 3 Houses game, you are the hero.
Oh my god, that read sounds like a Fiverr ad. In the Fire Emblem 3 Houses game. It's just, I don't know who wrote that line, but wow. Anyways, we've also got what everybody's up in arms about. Of course, the belly window. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this either. Also, just in general, this design, I'm not too big on. I don't really care for. It's more like the guy, like, why can't they just dress the same? They're obviously the same character. Like, if they're the same character, then the guy should have something that is just like this, right? Like, I don't know. That just doesn't make sense to me. Like, okay, does the guy have the equivalent of this on him? No. Like, he doesn't have anything, like, showing off, like, his body features or anything, or his body. Like, and if this is the female's the exact same character, then she has no reason to, like, I don't know. It's picky, but it's also, like, it's telling, in my opinion, of the design direction that they're still taking, or they're taking with the female characters in this game. Like, just so much more skin exposed, and if they're supposed to be the same character, they should dress the same. Just one is a woman, one's a male. And the fact that they've just this is obviously for just like pandering and fan service, it feels like, rather than an actual character trait being portrayed through a design, because these two are the exact same character, literally the exact same character, and the fact that the female is dressing so differently than the male is just like, oh, come on. That's just lame. It's just like, come on, guys. Again, it's not a deal breaker. It's not like the game's unplayable because of it. But it's just indicative of a design philosophy with the characters that I'm like, come on. Like, come on, guys. Anyways, that's a small thing. Not a big deal.
You start out as a mercenary traveling with a group led by your father, Geralt. After an...
I'm very intrigued as to why... I don't know when this takes place in the story, but why is all three of the why is all the heirs in one place with this guy right now? Like, this mercenary, this guy must be very important. He's got to be very important. Like, he's got to be a big deal. He's got to be a big shot. Anyways, I'm down with this guy. This guy's design is kind of cool. He's like kind of mercenary. I guess you're not royalty. Of course, honestly, I highly doubt this guy is not going to have some type of royal or divine blood or divine connection. He's not some normal mercenary off the street like Ike was. Ike was just a guy that happened to get really super strong. He didn't have any, or did he? Maybe I might be remembering wrong. Maybe Grail had some crazy stuff going on. Anyways.
Your father, Geralt. After an unexpected incident reveals an unknown power hidden within, you'll travel to Garrick Mach Monastery, where you'll...
An unexpected power awakens within. I'll talk about that power later.
Receive an offer to teach at the Officers' Academy. Around that same time, you alone begin to see a mysterious girl named Sothis, who appears within your mind.
Again, this story premise does not hook me at all. It just doesn't intrigue me. I don't know. It's not doing it for me. It's like, wow, you are a guy who has a special power awakened in him, and only you can see it, and you're gonna, it's just gonna turn into a Chosen One story, which I'm down for Chosen One stories, but I don't know. I'm not feeling this right now. There's nothing that I'm seeing that's like, wow, that's really cool and different about this, story setup. Of course, we'll talk about the Academy, but the Academy is another reason I'm concerned about this game. Just in general. So, Sothis, Sothis is Sothis. I think the braid design is absolutely, what is this braid design? This design in general is kind of crazy and over the top, but I don't care. It's okay. It's better than we've gotten in the past with these types of characters.
Garrick Mach Monastery lies at the center of 3 large territories. It is the home base of the Church of Seiros.
The Church of Seiros, that is definitely not evil. Not evil. They are not evil. Totally not evil. And they're totally not going to be the destabilizing force of the story. Totally not. Totally not. Such allegations. Insane. Yeah, the Church is going to be the bad guys. It's pretty clear in my mind. It's pretty obvious. The Church is going to be the main destabilizing force in the story, the one behind the scenes drawing the strings, and obviously this character at some point is going to betray everybody and be playing everybody off one another. I don't know. That's my prediction, but I'm almost certain that's what's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, I'd be wildly surprised, and I'd be clapping. I don't know. But to me, the Church's setup just makes it so obvious that they're going to be evil, or the bad guys. Yeah.
The main religion of Fodlan, as well as the Knights of Seiros. Not only does the church serve to maintain order in Fodlan.
Let's talk about the graphics, because wow, this shot looks horrible. I'm just being blunt. It looks horrible. It just doesn't look good. It just, everything looks so flat and rigid and just ugh. It just looks like mud, to be honest. I'm just being real. It looks like mud. It looks like Berserk. Okay, I'm not gonna go that far, but like the new Berserk anime. So it looks like some of those shots look like this. I don't know. This just I'm not a fan of the way they're taking the in-game graphics here. I just think when you have shots like this, they just look bad. They just don't look good. On the 3DS, stuff looking bad is kind of excusable because the 3DS just like sucks hardware-wise. So I'm like, yeah, okay, you're working with poor hardware. It makes sense. It's not going to look too great. However, just this whole, I don't know. Again, maybe I'm just being picky. Maybe I'm just impossible to please. Very realistic possibility. I'm gonna be real. That's definitely a possibility. Like, you just can't please me. But this just doesn't look good. Just being blunt. This does not look good. Graphically, obviously.
Its monastery also houses the Officers' Academy. Those who train there will go on to shoulder the future of Fodlan. The officers.
All right, the school. I guess I'll let the explanation go on a little further.
The Black Eagles is for students from the Adrestian Empire, including the house leader and future emperor, Edelgard. The Blue Lions boasts Prince Dimitri of the Holy Kingdom of Fargus as its house leader. This house is for students from his kingdom. The Golden Deer is for students from the Leicester Alliance. Their house leader is Claude, who is the heir of the noble family that leads the Alliance.
I guess that brings us to the cast, or the initial cast. You've got Edelgard, Dimitri, and what's this guy's name again? I always forget that. Claude. None of these have really clicked with me because I know nothing about them. You can only look at them from a pure design standpoint and then try to imply what types of characters they are based off their designs. But I don't know enough about these characters' motivations, their pasts, to really, like, dig them as characters. I just don't know enough about them to... I mean, you can kind of tell slightly based off their designs. For example, it looks like... Because Gast was talking about this too, like... Claude obviously looks like he's the wild card. He's like the, you know... Like, he's the, like, crazy guy, looser, doesn't play by, like, the rules, not very strict, kind of off the cuff kind of guy. While Dimitri's, like, the exact opposite, looks very firm and tough. And Edelgard, again, he was mentioning, looked like the in-between, and I agree with all that. But I just don't... Like, those are so generic and so high-level, like, assessments of their character that, like, the nitty-gritty stuff that really gets me invested in them just isn't there yet. Of course, I don't know if I'll like them in the future. I might like them in the future. Their backstories may end up being very cool and very interesting, and their motivations may end up being very relatable, and, you know... But I just don't know enough to get excited about them. I'm just not excited about them yet. So, we'll wait and see on the characters. Of course, we've got the whole academy set up, where you choose between 3 houses. Hence, the name of the game. We have no idea what effect this has whatsoever on the plot or the story. We have literally zero idea. Or maybe people did analysis and have figured it out. But from first gleam of the trailer, I have no idea what impact this has. Why does choosing a house matter? And they didn't say why it mattered, which is very interesting. And it doesn't instill much confidence in me. Like, they didn't say, oh, choose which house, and, like, that affects the story. I'm assuming it's going to affect the story, but they didn't say that. Is it just going to be like, oh, you're playing through the campaign, but only with these units that you're training? Or are you literally picking a side in this, story, Isle of Fates, where it's like, oh, you have your Black Eagles route, your Golden Deer route, your, I don't know what the Lions ones are called, but I'm assuming it's the Blue Lions. Are you joining, are these all separate story paths? We're actually not that far from release, and I don't know, I'm not, they didn't say what effect it has, so that makes me imply, okay, if they didn't tell us what effect it has, then, or if the effect it does have isn't a selling point of the game, they've been saying like, oh, you can choose your house, you can choose your house, you can choose your house. But like at least in the trailers, maybe in external materials, they have talked about this, but in the trailers, they have not mentioned it at all. What effect it has. They have the effect where, oh, you train different units or you're training different units, but in terms of the plot and the story, we have no idea what effect it actually has. Which has me concerned, because if it was a selling point, the effect it had on the plot, then they would have mentioned it. I actually don't care if it's not a selling point of the plot, it's just I kind of want to know like what it does, because if I don't know what choosing a house does, it's hard to get excited about it. I guess I get excited about choosing what units I'm going to use or which characters I care about. But other than that, I just don't know enough about the house choosing process and the effect that choosing a house has to get excited or to get like invested, at least right now. Again, it's one of these things like as more information comes out, and as like when the game does come out and I find out what exactly like stuff means, then yeah, I can get more excited. But at the moment, not happening. Or I'm not excited about the house choosing at all, because I know nothing about the characters, and because I know nothing about the characters, which seems to be like, oh, like, it affects what character you train, and since I don't know anything about the characters at all, it's like, okay, I don't know who I want to choose. I guess I only have visual design to go based off of, but anyways, that's just me, again, complaining. As I'm going to be doing a lot, to be honest.
The Black Eagles is for students from the Adrestian Empire, including the house leader and future is close.
Okay, let's talk about, I guess, what's going to be happening in the academy, or see.
You will lead the students of one of these houses and instruct them. In addition to the house leaders, there are many other students to meet, each with their own unique personalities and skills. Which house will you choose?
Which house will I choose? I have no clue, because you gave me next to no information on the houses. I mean, okay, that's me not being fair. They did give us information on, like, oh, it just, for example, it just feels like picking a Pokemon Go team right now. Like, and I'm not sure if that's the feeling I want from a Fire Emblem game when I'm choosing a side. Because there's obviously so much more to the side you're picking and the conflicts that are going to occur based on which side you pick. Or maybe there isn't. But just being given, here's 3 houses, pick which one you like, I don't know. I don't find that compelling yet as a choice. So, hopefully it is more compelling in the actual game than they've presented it here. But, again, we'll see. I dig this BST though.
Students are expected to travel to various lands, sometimes with the Knights of Seros themselves, and gain real battle experience, including everything from defeating bandits to suppressing rebellions.
Suppressing rebellions? I don't care about bandits. I care about the suppressing rebellions, because that's obviously where conflict's going to come in suppressing rebellions. And I guess we get to look at gameplay here. I still think the game looks like mud. Of course, Tellius looked like mud, and I really dig Tellius games. And obviously the gameplay is going to be what matters, so, you know what, it's not that big a deal. It's just, I don't know, we haven't gotten a pretty Fire Emblem game. And Fire Emblem doesn't need to be pretty, but you know what? I wish we did get a pretty Fire Emblem game. I thought finally with the Switch, we're going to get a pretty Fire Emblem game. It's going to look great. It's going to look so nice. And it looks like mud. So, again, maybe you can't please me. Maybe I can't be pleased. But I look at what I'm seeing, and I think this looks like mud. The UI, not the UI, but just the environments and the models and everything. Again, it looks like a Warriors game, and I know why it looks like a Warriors game, because Koei Tecmo are co-developing this. But I don't know if I like Fire Emblem looking like a Warriors game. I don't know if I dig the look. The UI, though, is pretty cool. Anyways, I guess we get a look at the battles here. The one thing I am intrigued about is the formations. I think formations could be really cool, but at the same time, we know nothing really about formations. So, yeah. It's one of those things, like, I'd love to get excited about formations, but I have no clue how they work. And even if I did know how they work, I'm not, like, it's stuff can sound, oh my god, I threw my pen. stuff can sound so cool on paper. Like, you can think of a great idea and, like, think, wow, that sounds so cool. And then when you actually see it in action or play with it in action, you'll be like, actually, this is not cool. Or this isn't as cool as I thought it was. And this actually ends up detracting from the experience. That's just a very real possibility. So, like, it's hard for me to get excited about a mechanic unless I've played with it in my hands and seen how it interacts with things. Or they demo it and they show how it works, but they really haven't done that. We just get battle footage of things in formations, and they haven't explained how formations works, really. Or maybe they have. I'm going just based off the trailers. Maybe they have explained formations, but formation seems like the most interesting change they've made to the gameplay, and they haven't really explained it. So it's hard for me to get excited about it. Again, the UI looks pretty cool, though. Well, what else is there around here? Yeah, okay. I'll clear this off. I guess let's see. They're gonna trigger a battle here, right?
May be class assignments, but the stakes in each battle.
Can I? Let me see if I can see what the formation does here. I'll try to pause it.
These may be class assignments, but
yeah, I don't see what the formation does. I just see, yeah, it's a formation. But I no clue what it does based off here. Range, defense, resilience, avoid. I don't know what AS or some of these values are. Or no, I know what everything probably is except AS. But I don't know what that is. So we'll see.
The stakes in each battle are very.
Oh man, I need to pause this.
But the stakes in each.
Let's look at the UI again, or a little closer. Combat arts. I guess the enemies don't have formations. Just seeing enemies not having formations kind of makes me sad, because this happened with pair up in Awakening. You had pair up, the enemy didn't have pair up, and it made the game a stomp. In Face, they changed that. Both you and the enemy have pair up, and I dug that. That was one of the cool things. Like, some of the enemy combos they had set up that were paired up, or the pairing up of enemy units was really cool. And I don't see anything like that right now with the enemies here. Or the enemies just don't have a formation. Maybe they can have a formation, but these bandits don't. We'll see. But initially seeing that gets me a little more concerned, because I don't know. I think enemy formations could be really cool. But again, we'll see. Maybe I'm jumping the gun here. That's usually an issue I have. I kind of jump the gun real fast. I kind of like, I get ahead of myself. We'll see. We'll see.
Each battle are very real. Whether your students live or die will depend on your leadership. Strategize as the battle progresses to.
I'm sorry. The game looks. I'm gonna keep saying it. I don't like how this game looks. I also, yeah, I don't know. I look at this and it looks gross. Okay, maybe gross is being too mean, but this ground, the back, it just doesn't look good. I don't agree with this direction visually, in terms of like the in-game graphics. The presentation outside of the in-game graphics is pretty sick. But the in-game graphics just, I don't know. I'll probably play this game with animations off, to be honest. Because I'm not a fan of how this looks.
At the Officers Academy, your students will work diligently each day so that they may wield a variety of weapons. Master the study of magic.
You know what? Here's the thing. The school, from a story perspective, and from a character perspective, I'm very reluctant. From a gameplay perspective, I'm down. I'm down for the school. From a gameplay thing, I like the school as a hub where you do all your training and like all of your units. Like, I dig it. I'm down. From a story's perspective, I'm a little more concerned, because anime high schools, I'm not a fan. I watch a decent amount of anime. And high schools, or schools, are some of my least favorite settings. Unless it's like kind of the point, like I don't know, a rom-com or something, or like I don't know. It's like I don't like the school setting from a story perspective and from a character perspective, especially if you're playing as a teacher, and the main thing like is romancing in Fire Emblem. I highly doubt they're going to take that out because people love that. People love that. I highly doubt they're going to take that out and the supports. So romancing your students, I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm just makes me feel uncomfortable. Just doesn't make me feel like I think it just boils down to that. It doesn't make me feel comfortable. I hope there's options outside of students. But it just I don't know. It doesn't make me feel comfortable. I'm not a fan of it. You also have this like I forget who was saying this, but Gas was talking about like the uniforms and having everybody in a uniform makes kind of the designs less distinct. I don't think that's that big of a problem actually. From what I saw, a lot of them do have different outfits, or they have some differentiation. Okay, to summarize my thoughts, basically, the school setup, gameplay perspective, really cool. I dig it. Academy, I dig it. From a story's perspective, I don't dig it. And from a character's perspective, I also don't dig it. However, if they use the school setting to explore some interesting themes, I'm down. For example, having a main character as a teacher. I think it would be very interesting. Assuming you're a first-time teacher in this game, which, based off your age, you probably are a first-time teacher, having some conflict or themes or conversations about being a first-time teacher and being unfamiliar with tutoring and teaching and the teaching process, because teaching's hard. Teaching is hard and it's difficult, and there's a lot of teaching philosophies. And if they explore that in some support conversations or in the story, then I'm like, okay, cool, that works for me. At least they've gone some depth into the setting of this academy and tried to explore it a little bit, rather than if they don't, I feel they're just playing it off for tropey, just tropes I have no interest in. Again, that might be a very personal thing. I know some people who dig this type of setting, who love it. I don't. I find it actually, why is my video just all of a sudden cut out? My webcam cut out. I'm frozen. What happened to my webcam? I'm frozen, guys! How did this happen? How did I freeze? What's going on? What's going on with my webcam? Apologies for the even in recorded videos I have technical difficulties now. Come on. There we go. Okay, we're back. But yeah, this type of setting I'm not a huge fan of. And I hope they put it to good use. I hope they make the most of it. And they use it not just in the conventional anime tropey boring, like by the numbers or by the books way. I think from a gameplay perspective, I'm probably going to have a lot of fun with it though. Seems like people have been talking about how the customization looks pretty cool, and I think it'll be pretty cool too. I think I'll get a lot of enjoyment out of that. Anyways.
And acquire special skills such as horsemanship. You have been entrusted with their future, and it's up to you to guide each of them and help them hone their abilities. Through combat experience and study, you can help your students reach their full potential.
I've kind of already talked about this. I'm down for all this stuff. This stuff looks cool.
Your students can also interact with each other at the academy, and by doing so, their bonds will strengthen, and they'll be able to better support each other on the battlefield.
Just before it gets into more story shenanigans, just based on what I saw, I still didn't see any enemy formations, which I still think is lame. Hopefully that is something that happens, and none of the enemies I saw had formations. Maybe I didn't look close enough, but what they were showing off here, they also did mention that like coordinating or like the gambit system. I don't know the specifics of how it works, but you know, once I do find out, then I'll determine whether I'm excited about it or not. But everything in the trailer is so vague that it's like it's hard to get excited about it. Anyways, I'll let it play out to the story stuff too. Also, I like the monster enemies. Those seem pretty cool. That's definitely a time wheel, and that's definitely his special ability that he awoke. Anyways. That is also the silliest looking fallback I've ever seen. Also, why did YouTube come up here? I don't know what's going on. I think I unfull screened it. What the hell was that fall? Yeah, it just looks silly. It also just doesn't look good either. Like, I'm sorry I'm gonna keep pestering about it. It just doesn't look good. I don't like it.
Hey, over here!
Forward, now!
3 territories. 3 houses. Your very own journey.
It's a lot of snapshots that they're throwing in for people to look at real close. I guess I'll take a look at them real quick.
Very own journey.
Let's take a look real quick. We got Sothis. I think they tried to set it up to look like all the 3 houses were attacking one another. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but you never know. Could. I think it is going to happen. But I think they just took a bunch of shots out of context of all the lords pointing to attack to make it look like they're attacking one another. And maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe they did take it within context. I don't know. This is probably your powered, like this purple dust stuff.
Very own.
I don't know who the hell that is.
Very own.
Looks like an evil guy. I don't know.
Your very own.
I don't know. I'm not intrigued. It just looks like a generic evil bad guy. Again, when I know more, I'll probably have a stronger opinion, but I don't know anything, and it looks like a generic evil bad guy, so I'm thinking of him as a generic evil bad guy, and it doesn't get me excited. I dig the Birdbeak mask, some like Black Plague stuff. I dig that. I dig this enemy design. That looks pretty cool. I don't know who this is. I don't know what that is. This is definitely evil. There's literally no doubt this person is evil. And evil monsters.
Fire Emblem 3 Houses will release on July 26th.
And that's not too far away. What we're seeing is pretty close to release. What we're seeing is close to final. Like, this game is probably going to be done development with like the month before July. Or that's probably when it's going to go gold and they're going to seal the lid on it. What we're seeing is pretty close to the final product. They've only got, what? How much more months of development would that give them? It is February, March, April, May, June. That's like 4 months, 3 months left of development. What we're seeing is pretty close to the final thing that we're getting. That doesn't mean they can't make improvements, but they're almost done the game. So yeah, 3 houses. In terms of the plot and all the intrigue, my prediction of how it's going to go. Wow, the 3 houses are at peace. Bandits attack. They deal with the bandits for like probably quite a while. Some foreign country invades. They repel the invasion. But the invasion starts to turn them against one another, and the church is starting to play off each other to get them to fight each other. You know what the crests are to blame? Like, the church is obviously up to no good. The church is up to nothing, like, no good. And then some dark evil god is gonna come back, and you have to kill the dark evil god. Or the dark evil god's behind everything. I don't know. The point is, in terms of that, everything seems to be just as it was. There's just only a school now. And that's how it's always going to be with Fire Emblem, pretty much. You're going to get your evil god coming back. You're going to get your like political conflict up until like the last act where the big bad guy comes in and derails the story. And all of a sudden it's all about the big bad guy and vanquishing the evil god. it's the same formula. People seem to be thinking that, like, of course, I haven't played the game. They haven't played the game. But people seem to be thinking that this is going to be some revolutionary thing. Like, the story's going to be, oh my god, the story looks so revolutionary. The school is going to change everything. Choosing your 3 houses is going to change everything. But fundamentally, Fire Emblem plots have always been the exact same since the start of time. The plot is always brigands, political conflict, evil god intervenes. And that's fine. Because if you execute that well, it's still fun. It's still a good time. In fact, I actually had a great time with Shadows of Valentia and Echoes with that story. I had a great time with it. I enjoyed myself immensely playing that game. But this setup, when I look at it, I don't know enough to get excited. I don't know enough to say like, wow, this is really they're really gonna nail the Fire Emblem story or the Fire Emblem like tale this time around. Just nothing is convincing me. And I guess I'm coming from the perspective of, I have my money. Convince me to spend my money on this game. As a consumer, it's up to the game to convince me to spend money. I don't owe the developers my money. I don't owe them my time. So when I want to spend my money and spend my time playing a game, you've got to convince me. And I am not convinced. Of course, I'm going to buy it anyway, unfortunately, because I kind of have to. And I'm still fundamentally, underneath all of my skepticism, I'm still excited because Fire Emblem, even bad Fire Emblem games, in my opinion, bad Fire Emblem games, are still enjoyable. They're still fun. It's still Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem is really hard to mess up, especially at this point, because I've been doing it for so long. Like, Fire Emblem's fundamentally fun. So, like, I'm going to get the game anyway. But I don't have an obligation to be excited about it or to be optimistic. Because the reason I am so skeptical is because I was on the hype train for Fates. I was so hyped for Fates. If you look at some of my old videos, not on the Pavise channel, on my old account, the Zukonima channel, I made a trailer analysis of, like, within days of every trailer dropping for Fates. I was on the ball. I was like, oh my god, I'm so hyped. When Fates was announced, I literally danced and, like, jumped out of my seat. I was so excited. And then the game came out, and I was disappointed, and I wasn't, like, I let my expectations get out of control. This time, I'm trying to temper them. I'm trying to temper them. I'm trying to be skeptical, because last time I got burned. And that's just not fun. Of course, when it comes to hype trains, being on the hype train's a lot of fun too. Being excited, being optimistic, being on the hype train, that's a lot of fun. But ultimately, that was me with Fates, and ended up dampening my enjoyment of the game greatly, because my expectations got out of control. So this time, although I just sounded so negative, and so skeptical, and so, like, kind of, like, just negative, I'm still excited for the game. I still want to play it. I still want to see, like, oh man, is what I thought about the game actually true? Or did they really change things up? Or is this really going to be really cool? Are they going to take the story in ways I'm not expecting? Are they going to execute the story really well? There's still a bunch of questions I want answered, and I'm excited for them to be answered when I play the game. It's just, coming into the game, I'm just going to temper my expectations more. And be a little more cautious, a little more skeptical. But fundamentally, I guess that's how I feel about most of the game, or what we know about it so far. We still don't know so much. We still are, like, the exact way things function. Obviously, they're going to release more videos explaining the way things function in more detail. But as it stands, it's hard for me to get excited, because there's a lack of info about what it is they're actually showing. And I'm a guy who really cares for those nitty-gritty details. And I don't know, I want to know the details of how things work, rather than just what things are, before I get excited, or before I invest myself any further. So yeah, that is 3 houses. Actually, you know what? I do want to talk about the E3 trailer, though. Because the E3 trailer, they did change some stuff. They did change some localizations. So, for example, like, Fergus is now Fargus. And the map's a lot more detailed now. But this trailer seemed a lot more narrative.
Time to measure your forth as an irrational world we live.
I still see. I don't know. This doesn't look good to me, at least. I'm gonna keep saying that because it's true. This. Oh, that's a cool grid view, though. I dig this view, at least in the bottom right there. I hope the free roaming. I'm down for the free roaming and environment part. I actually had a lot of fun with that in Echoes. This is just kind of more advanced knowledge. And this is definitely a much more cinematic trailer. I guess we do have like this evil guy running around. I don't know who this guy is. He looks like a barbarian king kind of guy. He's got like a bone sword that's made like a spine or something. Is that what is that? I just noticed that's literally just a giant soldier. I haven't looked too closely at this trailer. I just kind of just watched it when it came out, and I guess there's Sothis again. Is there anything in here that wasn't talked about more recently? This is a much more narrative trailer. But again, I don't know. I keep saying this, but I can't get past it. I'm sorry, guys. The game looks like mud. It's just, I really would have preferred they went for something more stylized. Like, Fire Emblem has never looked good in 3D, to be honest. I wish they kind of just abandoned it. Like, just abandoned Fire Emblem 3D. Although, in this case, the formations, I guess, are a function of the game being 3D. Which I kind of dig. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else I want to talk about. That seems to be about it. In terms of, you know, what I want to talk about. July 26th. Let's see. I'm still excited. Like I said, I've been negative. I've been skeptical. I've been kind of mean, and maybe I haven't been fair, to be honest. But I'm still excited. And you know, if this game is good, I'm gonna be hype. But I have no idea if it's good or not based off this footage, and I don't think they did a good job at selling it. So I'm not totally sold on it. I'm still skeptical. But be sure to tell me how you guys feel about the game. If maybe I wasn't being fair. Call me out if I'm not being fair, to be honest. Yeah, that's my thoughts on Three Houses based off the information we do have, or that I know of. Because, again, I haven't been looking too deep into this game. I'm just looking at the trailers, the base knowledge, kind of like a layman knowledge of the game. Yeah. In terms of me uploading on this channel, I guess I'll talk about that. In terms of me uploading on Pavise Plus, it's only going to be once in a while. I mean, last time I uploaded was the Lucina video. So, I mean, that was a while ago. But I don't know if I'll upload here again. I uploaded this because I had some free time, and I felt like it. I felt like talking about it. So I turned on the camera and talked about it. In terms of actual Pavise content, if you want to know about that, I have no clue when the Pavise content is going to be back. I am working on stuff. In fact, I have a video, if you've been looking at my live streams, ready to go. It's ready for launch. But I still need more time to work on other videos. I still need more time, and I doubt I'm going to get anything out before May. May is probably when stuff is coming. And even then, I'm not going to guarantee that because life is crazy. Especially school right now. School's crazy right now. But we'll see. Anyways, I think that is going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Apologies for the lack of a script and for me saying a lot. And maybe not being the most planned for this. But this is just my raw, unfiltered thoughts on Three Houses. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good one, guys. I'll see you out.